I have seen that joy and happiness change when you get out of a bad place. The world can see that. You understand and see darkness differently now that you've been through it. She just told the truth about Marcus Lamb's death, which has been a secret for a long time. People didn't question the official story for a long time. Now, though, shocking new facts have come to light that might make everything different. What did Rebecca not tell you, and why did she finally? Everyone is now interested in Joni Lamb after word spread. Everyone was curious about her first reaction. Was she shocked, angry, or feeling something deeper? Before, the Lamb family was strong in their religion. Now there is a lot of talk about them, and Marcus Lamb's legacy is in danger. The world now knows the truth, but is it ready to accept it? It's being said more and more that Marcus Lamb has died. Many people were shocked when they heard that Marcus Lamb had died. Christians talked about it a lot, but over time, more and more people were interested in how he died. Marcus started the Daystar television network and was a big deal in Christian TV for a long time. Millions of people loved him because of his faith, the way he preached, and how hard he worked to spread the message. At first, people thought that bugs from COVID-19 were to blame for his death. Given the world situation, it was a sad but fair outcome. People began to question whether the official story was telling the whole truth as the weeks went by. Close family and friends of Marcus were the only ones who knew what was going on at first. People had different ideas about whether Marcus had been sick for a long time before the pandemic or whether his sudden bad health was caused by deeper problems. The official cause of death notice said that the person had problems from COVID-19. This made people wonder if there was more to the story. In order to figure out what really killed him, people had to guess. Was COVID-19 what killed him, or was there something else going on? Some Marcus fans said he was up against more than just the virus. His long-term health problems, like heart problems and other conditions that kept coming back, were said to have been kept from the public for a while. He looked pretty healthy just a few weeks before he died, so it seemed like he died too quickly and out of the blue. Were there hints that were missed? Do his close family and friends know more than they let on? Who said that the Lamb family was not saying anything about the news, which led to more speculation. A lot of people praised how hard the Lambs worked and how much they cared about their personal lives, but there was a strange lack of noise after Marcus died, which made people wonder what was going on. What was wrong with being more honest about what had happened? Some people began to wonder if the family was telling lies, maybe to protect the network's reputation or to avoid being shamed. Marcus might have been going through something private or taboo to talk about with other people, or was there something more sinister going on that no one was ready to talk about? Thoughts began to take shape. Some people said Marcus had a lot of stress in the months before he died. It wasn't easy to run Daystar TV network that costs a lot of money. Some people said that the stress of running such a big company and being in the public eye for so long had made his health worse. Could the stress have made him fall faster? His health seemed to be connected to the problems he was having in his personal life. There were some who thought Marcus may have been involved in a financial scandal or a legal problem. They also thought that he died just as things were starting to fall apart behind the scenes. Christians were shocked by the idea that the Lamb family might have been hiding something, even though these claims were never proven. People said that the religious network Daystar was being lied to and the truth was being kept from them. He was the controversial CEO of a Christian TV station. It came from Texas, where he had died after his battle with COVID-19. Last year, the conservative televangelist got a lot of attention when his network Daystar let groups and people who are against lockdowns and vaccinations talk on the radio for hours. The story comes from NBC News worker Maura Barrett. Many people around the world heard the writer Marcus Lamb speak out against the COVID-19 vaccine and say they don't even know what is in the shot. He died after fighting the virus. People who are evangelical Christians in the country know him and his network very well. On that network, he often spread fake information. His son heard him and said they're giving shots to people whose immune systems are already weak. He believed it was God's work. Marcus may have been sad or having other mental health issues that were being hidden from the public. According to both critics and friends, a lot of people knew Marcus for how well he led and taught, but some believed that the stress of his job might have hurt his mental health. A lot of people couldn't believe that someone they cared about could be in pain. But what if Marcus had been in pain and not said anything? Could that have made him fall faster? There may have been more going on below the surface than people thought. These stories got a lot of attention in the news, which is always looking for something new to cover. Their goal was to find something in Marcus's past that could help them figure out why he died so quickly. After talks with former co-workers, friends, and churchgoers, more news started to get out. Marcus's close friends and family said that he had been having secret conversations with other important people in the church world, which had worn him out mentally and spiritually. Marcus didn't want anyone to know that he was up to no good behind closed doors. He was going through some hard things in his personal life. Could the stress of those things have made his health worse? As the story spread, there was more and more fighting among Christians. A group of fans and friends got together to show their sadness and support for the Lamb family during this very sad time. They were sure that Marcus's family had done everything they could to help him and that the official cause of death was correct. Marcus loved his family and was a star in the Christian community. He was also a religious man. Some people thought it was rude to ask about his death, which was sad, but some people thought that the Lamb family should have told their followers what happened. They believed that staying quiet about Marcus's death would leave people guessing, and that the truth, whatever it was, should be told. A few people even asked the Lamb family to be more open about how Marcus died on social media. More and more stress built up over time. People had different thoughts on how much the family should say and whether the truth was being kept from the public. Marcus's death wasn't as simple as it seemed, was a thought that spread quickly and was held by many. Some people thought that the mental breakdown was caused by the stress and strain of the pandemic and health issues. Some people thought that Marcus may have been dealing with guilt or unfinished business from the past behind closed doors. They believed that his death was caused by the mental stress these issues had caused him. Even though there were a lot of stories, the Lamb family mostly kept quiet. Mark Lamb's wife, Joni Lamb, had spoken out about her husband's death. It wasn't clear, even though it was well written and didn't give many information. She made it clear that she was sorry, but she didn't say anything else about Marcus's last days or what was wrong with him. Things got worse when no one spoke. Joni didn't say anything because she looked too upset. Is there something else she needs to say? People started to wonder what really happened when they heard that Marcus Lamb had died. Over time, it became clear that the story of Marcus Lamb's death would not go away on its own. It seemed like everyone had a question. The Lamb family, who were once thought to be strong and holy, was now in the middle of a storm of rumors and doubt. What really took place? It looked like it would be easy to find out how Marcus died, but was there something else going on? It seemed like no one, not even Marcus's close family and friends, knew the truth as the story spread. At 3 a.m., she looked at me in the dark room where I was feeding Marcus on his last night in the hospital and said, "Look what you have done to this family." I texted my mom and said, "I can't do this anymore." I told God, "You know how much this hurts me." He answered, "I know, my God, you're watching out for me and will get me out of here." That was my last night with him. He died the next day. Marcus Lamb had a great career. As the founder of Daystar Television Network, his goal was to use media to reach millions of people with the message, and he did so far beyond anyone's expectations. Marcus was a powerful figure in Christian radio and TV. Daystar became one of the biggest Christian networks in the world because of his hard work and dedication. He did everything because he loved faith-based TV and wanted to share the gospel with others. Over the years, Marcus built a strong following of fans and viewers who admired his leadership and his ability to connect with them on a personal level. He became well known in the world of Christian media thanks to his charm and strong faith. However, Marcus's career did have some rough spots. It wasn't easy for him to balance the needs of running such a big network with his personal life. Being in charge of a global mission meant that there were always pressures. As Daystar grew, so did the duty and criticism. Marcus was under a lot of pressure, but he was determined to run the network honestly and build something that would help spread the gospel far and wide. Marcus's personal life was hard because of the stress of the ministry and the constant media attention. While he worked, he was often seen with his wife, Joni Lamb. She was both his life partner and mission partner. Joni had been with him from the beginning, and the two of them made Daystar the successful network it is today. Their marriage was often held up as an example of faith and loyalty, and they seemed to be unable to do anything without each other. At work or at home, Joni's strength, grace, and unwavering support were important to Daystar's growth. She was often seen hosting shows and interacting with the crowd, just like Marcus. They were together because they both wanted to spread the faith and help others. For a long time, they were seen as the perfect Christian couple. Marcus and Joni had to deal with the hard parts of their public lives and the constant pulls from the outside world. They worked next to each other, but running Daystar often pulled them in different directions, so they didn't have much time to spend alone. Even when things were hard, they stuck together and helped each other. Their marriage had its ups and downs, just like any other, but Marcus and Joni stayed true to each other and their goal. Plus, being so popular had its perks that they wouldn't understand until much later in life. Remember this for Daystar's future: the cloud of God stands for God's power and presence. Lots of them. Your mom just named a few great churches in the Metroplex that used to be the best, but the cloud, the blessing, and the favor went to another church when they stopped being led by the Holy Spirit. Wow. We don't think twice about that. The Holy Spirit should always be in charge of your choices, thoughts, and feelings if you want the gift to stay on your life, your marriage, your family, and Daystar. Yes, Joni Lamb's role in ruining the family and Rebecca's anger. Joni Lamb has always been an important part of the growth of Daystar Television Network. She is well known in Christian media because she started the company with her late husband, Marcus. Many people looked up to her because they believed she was kind, strong, and had a strong faith. They believed that their marriage showed how much they loved and worked together. They built their relationship on faith and shared goals. Together, they made Daystar one of the biggest Christian TV networks in the world, reaching millions of homes around the world. But there was a lot more going on in their marriage and in the Lamb family behind closed doors. Daystar did well, but the stress of running such a big business and being watched by the media all the time started to affect Joni and Marcus's personal lives. One reason she and Marcus started to fight was the stress of managing a global network. Another reason was the mental strain of a marriage that was under a lot of stress. Everyone thought they were the perfect Christian power couple, but things weren't really as good as they seemed. Joni had always been very protective of her family and her mission, but family members started to say that things were getting tense. Marcus, who used to be the dynamic boss of Daystar, had become less close to everyone and often hid away to deal with personal problems that he never talked about in public. Joni, on the other hand, seemed more focused on her job and the network. She was putting all of her energy into the public part of their mission, while her marriage was slowly falling apart. This made their kids, especially Rebecca, feel more and more angry. As a child, Rebecca saw her parents handle their busy personal lives and well-known jobs. As she grew older, Rebecca saw that her mother's love for Daystar seemed to put the family last. Joni had worked hard to keep up a perfect image, but it started to feel like a show. She saw how her father, who used to be strong and slowly, the lively figure turned into a shadow of the man he used to be. As Marcus pulled away from his family, she saw that he was stressed out by his duties, and she thought that Joni's drive had made their relationship hard. This made Rebecca feel deeply betrayed. She had always been close to her dad, and it was hard to see him get worse. In the afternoon of November 15, a reporter called Daystar to get my opinion. The next day, November 16, I was fired. Some scary things happened, like private investigators following us and threats to hurt us. These things kept happening, but we felt like we had to talk to a reporter because, as the saying goes, when you bring something to light, things get better. So that's what we did, yes. And I really felt from the Lord that even though I had been hurt a lot, I should stay in the position that God had called me to and not leave it. My friend Susie and I are not at home right now because we don't feel safe there. Don't worry, all the proof has been given to Julie Roy, who is writing a story that will be out soon, and to several other national writers. They should start writing stories this afternoon. That will be in the news soon. We had no idea this was going to be our life. We asked God for months to change our plans, but in the end, we had to do what he said. He said, you have to speak. It would have been easy to walk away, but if he says, I'm calling you to do this, we have to do it. What hurt her even more was that she thought her mother had something to do with it. Joni had always been there for Marcus in public, but Rebecca couldn't help but think that her mother's love for the network had made her love for the family less important. She started to think that her mother cared more about keeping up the image of a perfect family and church than about taking care of the family's relationships. As Rebecca got older and learned more about how her family worked, her anger toward her mother grew. She began to believe that Joni's desire for success had become more important than the health and happiness of her family. As Rebecca watched her father's physical and mental health get worse, she couldn't help but wonder if Joni's strong drive for success had something to do with it. Rebecca believed that her mother had let the demands of the church take over their lives, leaving little time for personal connection or mental support. She was mad at Joni for not seeing how bad things were getting for their family, how hard it was on Marcus, and how it was causing their marriage to end. Rebecca thought that her mother's need for perfection and her worry about keeping up the appearance of a perfect ministry were making their family unhappy. It was hard for her to believe that the woman she had looked up to as an example was now the one she thought was tearing their family apart. Rebecca began to secretly talk to close friends about how upset she was because her mother wouldn't admit that their family was having problems. She talked a lot about how Joni had cared more about how she looked to the public than how her father felt. Rebecca admitted that her mother's actions, or lack of actions, had caused a lot of problems for the family. As word spread that the Lamb family wasn't perfect after all, people started to wonder what their real relationship was like. Some thought that Joni's drive for success had put mental distance between her and Marcus, which caused him to fall. Others thought Rebecca's anger at her mother wasn't just about the ministry, but also about how Joni's actions had changed how their family worked. Even so, Joni was still worried about what other people thought of her. She kept putting herself forward as the church's strong and stable person, always ready with a smile and a word of faith. Behind the scenes, there was a lot more going on. The Lamb family had been fighting behind closed doors for years, and anger and betrayal were still building up. They were no longer known for being strong and united. People started saying more and more bad things about the Lamb family and Joni, and it turned out that the truth was a lot more difficult than anyone thought.